This video is sponsored by NordVPN. Get a premium VPN service that supports streaming and gaming for just $3.49 a month. Use the link in the description. Every day, tens of thousands of websites are launched onto the World Wide Web. Of course, this fact held true throughout February 2020, when just another one of these countless domains appeared online. But what's interesting about this particular lonely spot on the internet is that it was registered to developers in the United Kingdom who were subcontracting for the little-known phantom airline Air Sinai, a single-route, secretive air service operating between the cities of Cairo in Egypt and Tel Aviv in Israel. It was the first time Air Sinai had appeared officially on the internet, and for the scarce few who were in the know about Air Sinai, it was a real shock. So what's so special about this ghost airline, and how come up until now it was impossible to book a flight without being transferred endlessly between travel agents, and you'd have to pay in concealed cash envelopes? Under the control of the United States in 1979, Egypt and Israel signed an agreement called the Egypt-Israel Peace Treaty. This agreement stipulated that for the first time, an Arab nation was obligated to maintain civilian transport routes to Israel. While the clause was damaging to Egypt, given Israel's tenuous relationship with its neighbors and the complicated interfaith relations of the area, no one said Egypt couldn't run the air route secretly. And that's exactly what they did. Egypt faced boycotting from other Arab nations if it publicly disclosed the opening of air routes between Cairo and Tel Aviv, so Air Sinai was discreetly set up in 1982, providing transport along a single route back and forth between Egypt and Israel. The airline used planes owned by Egypt Air, the main commercial air service in the country, and Air Sinai quickly became known as a phantom service to those who were even aware it existed at all. The process of getting a flight ticket on Air Sinai was less than stellar. If you've ever complained about the prices of plane tickets or that your flight was cancelled, just remember that Air Sinai flyers in the 80s and 90s often had to spend weeks communicating with various contacts in Egypt Air before journeying to a travel office to pay extortionate prices in cash, carried in sealed envelopes, in return for a 50s-style yellow slip. And that wasn't it. Getting a hold of an agent was an ordeal in itself. When emails were introduced, the requirements did become slightly less tight, and customers could communicate with an agent to receive details about their flight, but they still had to pay via international wire transfer, sometimes only in US dollars. Flights to Tel Aviv were not displayed on billboards in Cairo's airport, and flyers had to speak to an agent in person to obtain directions. These usually led them to an obscure street corner where a bus would carry them to an unmarked aircraft. For multiple decades, this was how Air Sinai operated, and for the few people wishing to travel between Egypt and Israel, there was no other way. The process was in every way very hush-hush, and consumers just had to suck it up. In 2002, Air Sinai stopped being recognized as its own entity and fell into a wet lease-like agreement with Egypt Air, becoming what is called a paper airline. They had no planes, staff, or ports of their own. Everything was owned by the parent company, Egypt Air. You'd think that was fairly straightforward, but you'd be wrong because Egypt Air didn't even officially announce that Air Sinai was there. Legally, it was on its own, but Air Sinai and Egypt Air were essentially the same things. Egypt Air pretended there was no connection and continued the operation of Air Sinai under extreme privacy. Through the early 21st century, obtaining a ticket was still incredibly difficult and shrouded in mystery. One YouTube video from Charles Huang detailed numerous attempts to book a flight through multiple travel agencies back in 2015. For a long time, Air Sinai's fleet consisted of two Boeing 737-500s, both of course owned by Egypt Air. These planes were reportedly white and unmarked, bearing no names or logos, and only registration numbers. They looked very similar to the CIA's 737 unmarked planes that are used to transfer terrorists and high-risk criminals to undisclosed detention camps. Janet Airlines uses the same aircraft to carry employees in and out of the top-secret military base Area 51. Flyers on Air Sinai in the past years have reported that the airlines have replaced the Boeing 737s with the Embraer E170 and the Airbus A220-200. These planes now resemble other Egypt airplanes due to the sky blue paintings on the body, but they're still unmarked without any name or logo. Such is the conspiracy and mystery around Air Sinai that some have suggested that the Egyptian military or Secret Service checks the passengers on flights between Cairo and Israel, and that's very likely. Egypt Air runs the flights in a very private manner so as to keep public and media attention to a minimum. Those traveling on the plane get a feeling like they've done something wrong and that they're being taken to some top-secret location. Why such lengthy efforts are made to conceal the airline and hide it from the public as much as possible is a very difficult question to answer, but the general consensus is that it's due to the political climate between Egypt and Israel. The majority of Egypt Air's customer base is Arab, and if the airline publicly announces its relationship with the flights to Israel, it might lose some of its customers because of tension among people. So there exists a concealed airline with a different name. This may sound like the most plausible explanation. A Reddit thread dated December 2019 holds that the confidential aspect of Air Sinai is so that the Egyptian government is still able to blame Israel for supposedly sending spies to their country. Other users have suggested that Egypt doesn't want to commit to an official airline relationship with Israel in case the political situation worsens in the future. In previous years, several forums have chronicled posts by travelers seeking help in booking a ticket on Air Sinai, some with success, others not so much. Egypt Air began announcing flights from Cairo to Tel Aviv on their airport boards in 2014, suggesting that they're taking steps to make the travel route more public. This possibility was given more credence by the unveiling of Air Sinai's new website earlier this year, sparking minor but sudden attention among those who knew of the airline. While the website supposedly allows anyone to book flights between Cairo and Tel Aviv, the site is completely devoid of any contact information to Egypt or Israel. The company has no apparent social media presence, and there's a big disclaimer to tell people that they have no relation to the actual airline. A round trip of a total of 2 hours and 45 minutes of flying in economy class costs an exorbitant €549. But because this is the only airline flying non-stop between Egypt and Israel, some people just don't have any other option. Even though the launch of FlyAirSinai.com may be a step towards publicity, many internet users have still noted how obscure the airline is. The only way a customer can get a hold of an employee is through an email address obtained by word of mouth, and navigating to the plane is a less than swift and easy process. Egypt Air goes an extra length to ensure the privacy of Air Sinai because impersonal or professional world privacy and security cannot be compromised. With an increasing number of people working from home and children using the internet more than before, internet security has become a major issue. NordVPN helps you stay secure online by encrypting all of your data coming in and out of your computer or your mobile phone from the internet, thereby making it a lot harder for someone to hack you or a malicious service to harm you. It keeps your physical location, personal data, or browsing history private. Once you're secure on the internet, NordVPN opens up the unrestricted, unblocked global internet for you. For example, you can simply connect to Japan and unlock the Netflix Japan library, or connect to Spain and watch exclusive Spanish shows. NordVPN works on all popular streaming sites to make sure your physical location doesn't limit your entertainment. Most importantly, NordVPN is very cost-friendly, unlike other premium VPN services. If you use the link in the description, nordvpn.com/SideNote, you can get the 2-year plan for as cheap as the 3-year plan, only $349 per month for a limited time only. The plan comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee, so give it a try using the link in the description. Hi, my name is Alec Belmore, and I narrate videos for SideNote, I've got a channel of my own and it's called History and Intrigue. You can check that out using the link in the description.